J'aurais pu vous battre si seulement. La carte n'était pas équilibrée. Vous aviez...
Well, hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to our first look at the new Fire and Maneuver, a Victorian-era turn-based strategy game that's available now on Steam that features PvP battles, and the best part, there's a free-to-play version. There's also some DLCs too, including the American Civil War, which features the Confederacy, the Union, new maps, campaigns, and music, but the base game itself is free. And it's also from the Armchair Historian. Griffin Johnson, you ever hear that name before? Well, they have a development team known as Armchair History Interactive, and all the art you may notice on that YouTube channel, which if you haven't seen it before, make sure you subscribe to them and check them out, is featured here in this game. So you can actually see some of the art style and the, the color schemes and such that are used in those YouTube videos here in the game. With all the different types of cutscenes and videos and art style all being a part of this game, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful art style. So hey, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, of course, and join me for more Fire Maneuver as we take our first look here today at all the features and things coming soon, as this is early access. So if you get it and download it today, make sure you give Griffin and his team some feedback by leaving a wonderful Steam review or going on their Discord to let them know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see in the future for this game so they can make improvements. They've actually taken a keen ear to all of everybody's feedback, and they're taking a list of things that people want to see added, things that might not be working out, and to tweak it so everybody enjoys it. Alright, well, let's take a look here at the quick match for the game. Now, a lot of features are coming here in the future, such as ranked matches. You can do 1v1s, but there's also quick matches where you can be teamed up against a random player, and training against the AI, so that way you can learn, especially after you've learned some of the basics. There's a Learn tab here that features a really nice, armchair historian style video, the Quick Start tutorial, which is a short explanation on the basics of Fire and Maneuver, which, as you'd imagine, involves a lot of firing and maneuvering. There's also going to be stuff for advanced techniques and campaign stuff coming soon. And speaking of campaign, there's a random battle that you can do, playing a custom match against whomever. You can set it up for yourself. But there's also campaigns that are available in some other versions of the game too. Civil War, we have the Crimean War of 1853, but Civil War Peninsula and Overland campaigns for both the Union and Confederacy, and yes, the Crimean War versus several powers there, Russian Empire, France, the UK, and some history too about some of the things going on at the time. There's a career mode coming soon to the game too, and I imagine what that might be is you get to create a character who will then gain skills as they go through more and more battles over a campaign, and perhaps those skills that the officer, or rather your officer and officers under your command, might be able to contribute to your army as you play through some other campaign. So a lot more to be added to this one. I am happy to see somebody making a game with a free-to-play version, but also some DLC support. There's other options on Steam if you want to get, for example, the soundtrack and whatnot. It's kind of a thing where it's an optional support if you really enjoy the base game. One thing to learn about this game, too, is it's not just pick an army and go. There is actually some information here about each and every different faction. For example, the United Kingdom here is a difficult faction to play, but they are a defensive they're defensive in their strategy and also very drilled. So they have some very highly trained units that are very effective on the battlefield, and very historical units that you might recognize by name, the Highlander Infantry from Scotland. And the art style here is amazing. I love the look of all these troops as unit cards. Cannons, Gatling guns, mortars, and different types of infantry and cavalry and riflemen and whatnot. And as it says on their Steam store page here, from the team that brought you the Armchair Historian comes a new strategy game set in the Victorian era. As muskets become rifles and infantry are replaced by Gatling guns, you must adapt to a rapidly changing battlefield. This is a new age, not of courage and chivalry, but of blood and iron. This has got me excited too for games like Victoria 3 coming up soon. That I've never played the Victoria series, but it's getting me in that mood, in that vibe. So if you enjoy games like Anno 1800 or the Total War series or Hearts of Iron or Risk or even Victoria, then Fire and Maneuver is definitely one worth checking out so far. There's additional information on some more of the nations, too, that you may have not seen that need to be unlocked by just playing the game. Essentially, they want you to go in and you earn this currency in order to unlock, like, Prussia or, for example, the French Empire. And I think it's just kind of a way of making it so that way you play the game more, but also so that way you learn, too, so that you can actually enjoy it by learning a nation, mastering it, and then going on to somebody else. Again, these nations all have advantages and disadvantages to them, so it's definitely something to learn outside the basics. All right, we're going to take a look at the quick start tutorial for this game, the short explanation of basics of fire and maneuver. As you'd imagine, that's exactly what we're going to be doing, firing and maneuvering. So we're going to learn that, and then we're going to take a look at the campaign missions, and then we'll fire off a AI battle too. All right, let's go.
Good day, and welcome to Fire and Maneuver, Commander. I am Sir Archibald Claughton Lord Godwinson, VC OBE GCB GCIE, and Commander-in-Chief of Her Majesty's Forces in... Oh, what does it matter? After a little row at last week's parade with Lord Cardigan involving a black bottle, I now have the honour to represent myself as... your Honourable Aide-de-Camp, Commander. So, I meant to get you into the action as expeditiously as possible, but before you take to the field and send thousands of enthusiastic young sons of the Empire to their eternal glory in service of Her Majesty the Queen, I propose we go through some of the basics. First, one may manipulate one's camera using the keys W, A, S, and D. To lower the camera, hold Q. To raise, hold E. To look around freely, hold the middle mouse button and drag. And speeding up the camera can be done by holding left shift. Then, one will left-click one's undeployed troops and right-click them into position. Now that we can inspect our men, the scum that they are, let's try giving them a command. To do so, left-click on the unit in question, hold down right-click on a tile within their range, and release. To check that one's order is queued, select the order list in the bottom left of the screen. Any order made will be listed here. Now, if one wishes for his men to fire, one can left-click the crosshairs in the bottom left and right-click the target. Units may be given one fire order and one maneuver order per turn. Hence, fire and maneuver. This is currently the planning phase, but once one is ready to submit orders, one must select the envelope in the bottom right and let the action unfold. Now is the execution phase, where one revels at the complete and utter destruction of one's foe. To finish off the enemy with bayonets, simply left-click on the men and right-click on the enemy. But beware, frontal assaults are typically disadvantageous for those charging. In this case, however, we can see that our enemy's cohesion, the bars displayed in blue, is already shattered. One must break cohesion before dealing permanent damage to a unit. Luckily, the enemy's health is also low, and one can check this by viewing the bars displayed in green. Cohesion can be regained by finishing a turn non-adjacent to any enemy. So let's make sure the Ruskies can't run and reform. And charge. Glorious. To change an infantry battalion's formation, use the center blue button in the bottom right. There are 5 formations to choose from: close order, open order, attack column, march column, and square. Close order is slow, but does maximum ranged damage. Open order is vulnerable to charges and deals less ranged damage, but has a large amount of coverage. Optimal if the unit is equipped with rifles. Attack column is fast and deals higher charge damage, but has limited range damage and limited coverage. March column is even faster than attack column when used on roads, but cannot deal any damage and is vulnerable to any form of attack. Lastly, square has full coverage, deals minimal range damage, and receives additional range damage, but is immune to charge damage. Next, I will speak briefly on terrain. High ground gives units additional range. Forests and rough terrain will stop units in their tracks for a turn. Farmsteads and buildings provide cover, and roads provide additional movement. Make sure to read the board and plan the best routes to seize the most superior terrain before deploying on the battlefield. Finally, we will touch on traits, and then I will send you into the fray. With only a single day of training from Victoria's finest, what's the worst that can happen? Traits are special abilities attached to units. Each nation has its own specialty troops with multiple traits, but in some cases, even standard line infantry has unique traits that set them apart from other nations. For example, Prussian infantry all have efficiency, allowing each unit to maneuver twice. They also have breech loaders, allowing them to fire twice. The British infantry, meanwhile, has range drill, which gives them an additional point of damage when firing. And, as a final example, Russian infantry has the disorganized trait, which lowers the speed at which units regain cohesion. One can learn more about traits by simply hovering over them. That's all for now, Commander. I do believe you are ready to fight. Some peasants, but, admittedly, really not much more than that. Come back another time if you wish to formally start your training, and work your way up from Ensign to Lieutenant General.
Alright, and with that initial tutorial under our belt, let's go to Custom and take a look at one of the campaigns here. We'll start with the Crimean War of 1853. Allied forces landed at the Bay of Victoria in September of 1854, and Russian forces were routed, holding the Alma River, and they were withdrawn deeper into Crimea. The Anglo-French forces drive south in an effort to establish supply ports at Baklava and Kimesh in their primary objective to capture the crucial port of the city of Sevastopol. One of the cool things about this campaign too is that we can immediately choose if we want to be the Allied forces, the combined forces, or the Russian Empire. More information about the campaign, and then of course we can increase or decrease the difficulty based on our experience or whatnot, or if we really want to challenge ourselves or be disadvantaged or whatnot. Let's go ahead and start. There we go. Love the loading screens for the game as well. Definitely in that wonderful armchair historian style, that's for sure. Crimean Campaign. You're leading an allied force of British and French corps deployed in the Crimea. Your troops have recently beat the Russians at the Battle of Ulma, and after much deliberation, it's been decided to first establish supply lines at the ports of Baklava and Kimesh. You must reach these ports quickly lest your troops run out of provisions and starve. Once the ports are captured, lay siege to Sevastopol and call in reinforcing corps. Men from England, France, Turkey, and Italy will support you. All right, let's continue. Well, I really like what we see here immediately for the overworld campaign, like the, the movements of troops before the battles begin. So there's kind of an overarching map and then a battle map too once we've basically initiated contact with enemy troops. Looks like we have the city of Sevastopol here. Yep, Western Sevastopol garrison on this side of the city. We have the eastern side then and their HQ. Sevastopol garrison and the eastern garrison. Oh boy. Looks like we got some forts in the north and some troops on roads that go towards the city and some other villages that we can capture to open up the supply chains. For us, we have some HQs in the south. Very nice art style. Love how everything's drawn out. I really think this is a nice fitting style for this era. In fact, if there was going to be maps like this, it would probably be drawn out such as this to show detail and whatnot by hand. As photography, well, it wasn't really that advanced at the time. All right, what do we have at the top? We have our influence points, funding, and the number of manpower we have, and influence and such. We can also set our policies. We have logistics and discipline policies that we can set. Hospitals, telegraphs, railroads, and then furlough, spirit rations, and, interestingly enough, foraging. The ability to loot, no spirit rations, and standard furloughs. I think we can change these at any time, though. No hospitals, ad hoc. Well, for example, here we have no telegraph connections and no rail transportation. So we can definitely get more advanced as we go on and fund the campaign over time. Okay, let's see what the enemy does in their movements. Looks like there's going to be a battle. Let's just quickly start with a battle and take a peek at it. Now, this is just a first look, so I'm not going to make any strategic moves at the moment that are very smart. I just want to get into a fight quickly and see how it'll all play out. And then we'll kind of go a little bit further into our battles. Looks like the enemy actually retreated. Okay. All right. Well, let's push down the road and see how things go. All right, so versus the campaign mode, which we saw with the large map, this is the battlefield map then. So we have ourselves all of the Prussian forces and their different types of regiments, companies, cavalry, troops, artillery, whatever it may be. Actually, it looks like we get artillery too. We have cannons, so... Oh, and we have the high ground. Anakin's going to be pissed. And look at all that sand too. That'll keep him out of here. All right, well, looks like we could probably move the cannons right up here and possibly some troops to protect them. I believe things like trees, for example, will give us rough terrain, which will take a little extra longer to move through. So if we're in a defensive position, we may as well hold the high ground and possibly some of the buildings and stay the hell out of the fields and such, because they greatly outnumber us. Let's go ahead and put those cannons up on the high ground and get ready to move them then. So French cannons will deploy here. Let's see if we can deploy those troops. We click and drag. There we go, right click. All right, so we got ourselves some cannoneers ready to go. And then we've got some... Actually, it looks like our troops might have some bonuses like faster shooting or something. Ah. Skirmishing trait ignores attrition damage. And breach loader trait. The weapon grants 2 fire orders. Looks like all the Prussians got the same too. Melee only trait for the cavalry. Interesting. Okay, so we'll have to keep them back. Well, let's deploy most of our troops on the road then, and we'll try to deploy around the hill. We've got some time until the enemy arrives, so let's try to deploy everybody as best we can. And if we deploy these troops here, all right. So we'll have everybody funnel into the road and see what we can do. So confirm placement. All right, we got 12 orders remaining. All right, let's go ahead and get the artillery up to the top of the hill. Face them... let's see here. Face them directly towards the enemy. Ooh, I don't like that. Oh, that's okay. If the building's in the way, I think it will still fire. It just probably is some sort of a concealment or defensive bonus for being there. Seems like that kind of a game. Let's go ahead and push our troops forward down the road. And we'll deploy in front of that hill. Okay. Let's go ahead and end our orders for now. Everybody should move forward. Excellent. Perfect. All right, now it's the Prussians' turn to move. And boy, oh boy, here they come. Looks like they're moving in narrow columns. Soft to no cover for them, yeah. All right, they're moving like that in order to speed up the march and also be a smaller target for things like cannons and whatnot. Seems like a smart move. Can we not move diagonally? It looks like we should be able to. Front line or reserve? Front line? Let's see what happens. Ah, they can move in with conjunction to the artillery, I see. Oh, we can move them to defend. I see. Okay, so we can put our troops here behind the cannons, although are they going to be able to fire between the men? I guess we'll see. My intention here is that perhaps the troops could be stationed around the cannons so the cannons can fire. But I think we'll just continue to move these troops forward. Oh, looked like there was an option to garrison, too. All right, let's push forward to the intersection. Interesting, and it looks like we get a movement bonus, too. I see the green wagon wheel must be because we're on a road rather than being in some rough ground. All right, let's continue the deployment. We'll probably put the infantry over here and just defend with them on the hill, or at least push forward. A rail line over there. Maybe we can get reinforcements in the future. Wow, they're coming quick. We don't really need to be as fast. We just need to be spread out. Holy crap, there's no doubt they're going to take this hill. They've greatly outnumbered us already. Luckily, we have cannons. Alright, we move the group there. Well, that's actually a good move. Alright. Any defensive bonuses we can give our troops? Let's see. Charge, volley fire, fire at will. We have formations. Cycle reserves and maneuver orders. Let's see. We'll give our troops a close order. Seems like the best option for the moment.
Infanterie de ligne.
We should be able to move these troops next to them. See what happens.
Bien sûr, mon général.
We'll react to the enemy's actions and see what happens. Oh, they've got cannons as well. Looks like they are hitting our position pretty damn good. Alright, enemies on steady ground. Let's go ahead and fire.
Mitrailleuse.
Excellent. Have our forces fall back.
Infanterie
Reserve.
de ligne.
We'll have them fall behind this main line now, and then we'll have them spread out to the left side as soon as we can. Yeah, that works.
Bien sûr.
Nice. Troops falling back. Frontal hit. Wow, massive damage from those cannons. Insanity. Insanity. Absolutely crazy. I would say at this point, this battle could be good for learning as the Prussians to defeat the French, but almost an impossible situation unless we get some sort of reinforcements. But we'll still try to hold. Try a little open order now
Infanterie de
for
ligne.
those cannons. Alright, let's go ahead and continue to fire.
Infanterie de ligne.
To fire on the troops below us. Nice.
Bien sûr.
And we'll just hold here. Not actually sure if we can build defenses. Wow, yeah, look at that. Absolutely destroyed. They've got a lot of troops in reserve. The cannons here, two groups of cannons, so that's, yeah, definitely going to give them a great advantage here. This is going to be an interesting strategical play. This kind of reminds me a bit of games like, for example, Order of Command and Unity of Command, I mean. Unity of Command being a fantastic turn-based game such as this, being more in World War II, but the ideal is still the same, to especially try to get troops out of entrenched positions to try to then hold the line once you take it from the enemy. Now that has a little bit more to do with breaching supply, as where this is just straight up strategy of the battle, but
Infanterie de ligne.
our group here can try to drop fire on them. Wow, even if we hold the high ground and even if we have the advantage here, the enemy's just falling in line great. Very smart AI, by the way, to be able to do that. Lining up like that for a full frontal assault like that. Now, they could take their time and flank, but at this point, they're down to just two groups. This group here at the front is pretty much dead to death. Now, I would assume then that the main campaign takes place where we move our different units around on the large campaign map, and then this is how each individual battle is fought. And what I'd like to see is the ability to perhaps have reinforcements show up mid-battle or at the start of battle, typical to what you'd see in Total War, where you could bring in, you know, additional troops or allied troops to assist with the fight, and then, of course, be able to get reinforcements throughout the whole battle.
Mitrailleuse.
Not sure what the enemy was doing there. They took their sweet time.
Mitrailleuse.
But I think by putting the cannons in front of these troops, they weren't able to fire either. But I really don't think it would have been too much of a big deal for us. Have these guys retreat. Let's see how much a cannon can actually do. Close range cannon shots. Wow, we actually have a chance. Interesting. So these troops can defend the cannons, but then you can break away from them. Actually, it's a good idea to be able to do that, because you could have an infantry group come up and take their place as they then fall back, so they could be together for a short moment if you just fired, and then you could maneuver afterwards. So you could maneuver and then fire. That's going to be the name of the game that I make. All right. Oh, that's so cool to see that. So just by playing the first battle, I've already learned much more than what the tutorial teaches you. Of course, the tutorial is mostly WASD. It is very important to make sure you teach anybody to play not only just this game, but any basic RTS game or a game in general, and then to be able to give everyone the opportunity to learn. Every battle should be more of a learning opportunity rather than a chance for victory. Wow, look at the absolute devastation. Holy crap. Was that their cavalry as well? Alright. Well, finally, after all that, our cannons have retreated, but obviously with these additional troops coming in, and as the mission briefing states, we are supposed to kind of retreat and eventually lose the battle. Or at least live to fight another day and regroup elsewhere. That's a better way to put that. The enemy's still moving, I can't believe it. So wait a minute, a cannon placed here firing at the approaching enemy could have cut down maybe 4 or 5 of these columns, but I don't think we would have been able to at least move out away from these columns where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemy columns plus cannons that are moving. So eventually they'd hit us with the cannons and take ours out. If I can see exactly where that could come into play. Alright, let's actually face northwest here, change our formation to a line formation, and go. We'll retake the high ground and line up. Oh yeah, lots of hits from those groups there. But the cannons will eventually hit us for sure. Oh wow, look at that. Wow, the amount of troops we were able to kill though in one cannon volley. That definitely bought time and, of course, cured a bit of victory. But you can see, yeah, cannons and artillery probably the most effective weapons of war. Being able to destroy the enemy from a distance, and only the cost of gunpowder and time makes all the difference. These units also have efficiency trait. Wow, so this unit here was able to not only move twice, but fire twice as well. So they get 2 maneuver orders and the ability to have 2 fire orders. So the ability to double charge and to double advance, or well, double advance and then double fire, which I guess is part of the advance too. See how this works out, firing in this. There you go. Oh yeah, our troops devastated by the what seems to be cannons back there. Wait, what is some of their debuffs here? Can only issue fire orders or maneuver orders. Indirect fire trait allows firing over obstructions. Ah, so that confirms what we thought at the beginning of the house actually providing some sort of cover that way. Well, at this point, our troops are gone, and there's no more reinforcements on the way. And this is really cool. We're actually, like, in a tent this way. Another game, of course, the original, before Wargame European Escalation, Red Dragon, or Air-Land Battle, there was another game you might remember, where there was a lot of units that would be stacked up and such. You might remember it, where there was a table. Well, let's see if anybody knows what I'm talking about. From Eugen Systems, making a game a long time ago, which kind of reminds me of this, and I'm sure other games used it too, but I like that. That's cool. And even though we're suffering a historically accurate defeat, we have gained some good experience and some good merits, which means we get more points to unlock more stuff, so that's cool. So let's see, what do we have for points now? 15,000? Yeah, so we can just continue to unlock units all day, or get the American Civil War DLC too. I'll have to throw in a trailer for that as well. It's interesting to see. I like the battles in this. Very good strategy in terms of the AI. For that being like one of the intro missions, it is cool defending against an invasion, and that way you can kind of... A great way to teach players, I think, is to use a small amount of advanced troops to see all the abilities that are possible, and all the artillery, and all the things that you know, you can defend with, so that way you can kind of see how things react. and then eventually up it so that way you keep those troops alive, but then also can utilize other lesser troops that are greater in number. For example, like basic riflemen versus something like a cannon, that type of thing. But Fire and Maneuver, definitely maneuvering into kind of one of the new, I guess, wheelhouses of free-to-play real-time strategy games that seems like a lot of fun, with a fun campaign and different scenarios, and with the ability to unlock all those nations, and then also support the development with the purchase of a DLC. But a good place to be in, without, you know, microtransactions and stuff like that. But who knows? More DLC, more updates, and more stuff to come for this one soon. Check it out on Steam. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll be back for more Fire and Maneuver sometime soon, I think, with more future updates, more content, and more to do. And not a bad start, by the way. We've only scratched the surface. Hey, wait a minute. Check this out. Crimea's all down here, too. Milazzo. Actually, 1860. So we can also play as the Italians. Not bad. All right. Oh, yeah. And the Battle of Malakoff. Excellent. Plenty of battles available. Much more than what we saw. And, of course, a little bit more across the pond, too. Ooh, Williamsburg. Oh, cool. Soon. Soon.